What's the matter with you guys? You all know he's guilty. He's got to burn. You're letting him slip through our fingers.
Slip through our fingers? Are you his executioner?
I'm one of them.
Perhaps you'd like to pull the switch.
For this kid, you bet I would.
I feel sorry for you. What it must feel like to want to pull the switch. Ever since you walked into this room, you've been acting like a self-appointed public avenger. You want to see this boy die because you personally want it, not because of the facts. You're a sadist.
Get him out! Get him!
You don't really mean you'll kill me, do you?
100 for 100. That's the podcast where we assemble 100 films. No small feat, no easy task. But I took this task upon myself to assemble these 100 films for new movie watchers, people who are looking at really getting serious about watching movies. And I ranked them from 100 to 1 of movies I think you should watch at least once in your movie watching career. I gave each one a 100-word review, hence the title for this show, 100 for 100, and a podcast, one a day for the first 100 days of this year. Boy, was this all a horrible idea. Me, your boy, Seed, the host of this bit of business. Yesterday, if you've been listening, if you've been keeping up with this, yesterday we talked about a movie that I can't think of off the top of my head right now. Don't know. I got another for you. I can't remember what we did yesterday. Yesterday was Shawshank Redemption. There we go. I had to flip through my notes. Yeah, man. Oh, come on. Everybody knows Shawshank Redemption, right? Go back and watch that movie again if it's been a while for you. Today, we're back in the 50s, man. We've been doing some 40s and some 50s lately. We're back in the 50s today. 12 Angry Men, directed by Sidney Lumet. Same dude who did the original Murder on the Orient Express, which is wonderful. Anyways, let's get into this 100 for 100-word review of 12 Angry Men. Sweaty and uncomfortable, 12 Angry Men sets the bar as one of the best courtroom dramas put on film. The fate of a young man lays in the balance as the 11 of the 12 jurors vote to find him guilty. Juror number 8, Henry Fonda, in one of his finest performances, embarks on a desperate plea of not guilty, slowly breaking down each juror in turn. Lumet's freshman effort, he places the camera in ways to keep the audience present and engaged. A masterful blend of logic and compassion, the story appeals to the humanity in all of us. Boom. Man, I rewatched this in preparation for this recording last night, and I honestly think that 12 Angry Men might be the best written film that I can think of, man. It's just so beautifully crafted, and how, how the whole thing kind of snowballs. It starts out with just one guy taking a stand against everybody else. Some people just want to get the fuck out of there and get to the game. Some people are voting guilty because of their own preconceived notions and deep-seated issues. Some people just because the evidence seems to present the fact that he's guilty. And it's just Henry Fonda versus everybody. And then how that whole thing kind of snowballs. He convinces one. He convinces two. And all of a sudden, those three together start convincing others. And all of a sudden, they start convincing others. And more and more and more until it's just down to your two main antagonists, basically. Two old white guys is what it comes down to. And then the various makeup of the jury is also interesting, because this is a young minority, a young Hispanic kid who is up for murder of his father, and the judge makes it clear that if you find this kid guilty, it will be the electric chair for this kid. And and they seem to be generally comfortable with that. And then you see that, someone makes the remark of, you know how these kids grow up in the slums, and one of those jurors is like, well, I mean, I grew up in the slums as well, so I kind of take offense to that. We have a European guy. He's just known as a European watchmaker, who I think is heavily hinted at to be a German. Actually, no. When was this movie made? 1957? Yeah, he's heavily hinted at being German. So, he's kind of have his own. He's more patriotic than some of the people on that board. I remember there's one scene in particular where, one of those antagonists is saying, he's he's just a foreigner. They don't speak so good. And then that German guy leans over and says, or he don't speak that good, is what the guy says. And the German guy leans over and says, he doesn't speak that well. And there's so many little wry bits of humor and how some people's preconceived notions are reflected back at them and used to break down their own arguments. There's a lot of that happening. And Henry Fonda's just dogged pursuit of not really out to change the mind, just present the evidence to make them think a little bit more. That's what I love about this movie. He's like, the kid very well might be guilty, but the letter of the law states as it is. Let's break this all the way down. And that's what they do. And he does it beautifully all throughout the movie. And each juror's got their own weird quirks and their own personalities and how they approach each situation. You got, I think it's juror number 4. Yeah, juror number 4. Just the most unflappable dude, never sweats. He's one of the last ones to turn to not guilty. Not because he's a evil intentioned dude. He's like, look, the evidence as presented, man, you cannot dispute this evidence until he finds a chink or someone finds a chink in that evidence, a flaw in that thinking. And then he just as rarely changes his mind. You're right. You can't send somebody to their death based on supposition. That's what it's all about. If you're going to do something like this, something as irreversible as this, you need to be certain in your actions. That's what this movie is all about. I love this film, man. 12 Angry Men is amazingly written. You can almost just listen to this entire film and soak it in audio. It's so great. So make sure you do that. Check out number 10. We are at the top 10. We're 10 away from being done. A week and a half from now, if you listen to this the day it goes up, this will all be over, and I'm sure I will celebrate more than anybody else. But number 10 on our list, man, 12 Angry Men.